Hi everybody, my name is Noah Mott. I am going to be showing you the World of Warcraft MCP server that I developed for the MCP first birthday hackathon on Huggingface. The application is currently hosted on Huggingface Spaces, and it has a nice little front end that will include this video as well. To get started, I just wanted to introduce you to how we're going to go ahead and connect to the MCP server using Claude.ai. This is the remote version of Claude Desktop that is deployed that you can sort of interface with on Claude's cloud services or Anthropic's cloud services. In order to connect to our MCP server, we are going to go into the search tools little button here, and we're going to go down to manage connectors. And once that pops up, I don't know what, there it goes. Once that connects, and I'm just going to remove this for now, just for a moment, I'm going to add a custom connector. And you can see that there is a couple of places where you put things. This is just a regular name. We're going to call this the WoW Guild management. I don't know if that's how you spell it, but we're going to guess that it's right. Management MCP server. And we're going to grab our endpoint, which is going to be on the front page on Hugging Face Spaces. And we're going to put that here in this URL spot. And you don't need to worry about these advanced settings. This is all handled by, it's handled by the auth flow, the OAuth flow, and it's handled by Discord natively. So we're going to go ahead and add this. And you can see that it did not connect me automatically. So in order to connect to this server, I need to go over and hit connect. And this should put me through the authentication workflow. And you can see that it did, and it popped it up in my Discord. So I'm going to authorize it here. And you can see that it fully connected. And I have now made a connection to my guild, to my analytics server. Or excuse me, my guild management server. So now that I have access to that, I'm going to go up to a new chat. I'm going to go ahead and hit that button again, and you can see this is connected, and you can see the tools that are connected. There are several different tools here for comparing member performance of your guild. You can get character details. There's also some information on the realm, on your, the server status. You can ask questions of that. You can get raid progression information. And it's an excellent way to kind of manage your guild. And these are all just basic tools that do some level of analytics. Comparing member performance is a little bit more in detail. It compares multiple members of the guild, compares their gear levels. It compares their progress through raids and through Mythic Plus material and content. And all in all, is designed to give you sort of an overarching understanding of your guild and how it's performing. And I'm going to run a couple queries here just to show you how this works. So the first question I'm going to ask here is related to guild, just some regular guild information. So I'm going to say, show me a race and class breakdown. Actually, I'm just going to show me a breakdown. I don't need race and class, but show me a demographic breakdown. Show me a demographic breakdown of my guild, what we were having on and what do we need. And I'm just going to put the guild that I used to be part of on World of Warcraft as our point of sort of looking at stuff. So I used to be in the guild Legal Tender, on the realm Lightbringer, and we're going to see how this does. I think this is enough information for this thing to work. Let's see how it performs. It should go through. It should start making calls to that endpoint. So let's see how it functions. It may take a little bit of time, but I'll let it sit and we'll pause it here and I'll bring back in a second. Okay, so you can see that it went ahead and made the API calls, and it got information back from the tool, and you can see that there's quite a bit of discrepancy here on class distribution for the highest level characters. There's only 27 max level characters. There's only 65 members of the guild. The guild has died out quite a bit since my friends left it. But this is essentially what you're looking at. You're getting reviews of this type of information. It shows you the role breakdown by, rules breakdown by active spec. It tells you how many different characters you have, what's critical, things of that nature. If you wanted to find information, for example, on like your own character, I'll show you my character. So give me a breakdown of the character bath time on Lightbringer. And let's see how that performs. And it should call the proper tool here. And this time it's going to do some quick thinking, and then it's going to do get character details, which is exactly the tool it should use. And let's see how quickly this works. It should work fairly quickly. I'll pause for a sec. There it goes. It's thinking, here's the breakdown. Okay, cool. So it went through, it collected all the information, and it brought up all this information. So this is all of the gear that I'm currently wearing. It looks like it did an analysis of all the different items that I'm actually carrying. I'm not particularly well geared, but you can see it's doing an analysis and it's telling me where I'm struggling as a character. And it's getting as much, so I have no Mythic Plus for the current season, which is correct. And I've got 21 titles. Yeah, it gives you kind of a neat little breakdown. I'm going to ask it an additional question here and see if it calls the compare member performance tool. Let's see performance here. We can compare the performance of the top three characters in my guild. So let's see how that functions. And I'll pause here for a second. All right. So it went through and it collected the top 3 characters. These are the top 3 geared characters in the guild. And it's just going to give me a breakdown of the different equipped item levels and sort of do a quick comparison. You can see that it compared the member performance, ran queries that it needed to run, and then spit out an answer. You can see that there's a couple of gear priority stuff, activity, role coverage, achievement points. This just suggests that these characters are kind of in the same age. And it tells you like how active individuals are. This character hasn't been on for 3 weeks. Could be important information if you were managing your guild. And so it does a fairly good job of calling the API and making this comparison. And it's a fairly decent little tool to actually make those types of calls. And I'm going to show you essentially what happens in the back end. So give me one moment. So you can see here in Supabase, I have collected this information from myself. This is from the authentication flow with Discord. And you can see that I've made 3 tool calls since I started this. It only holds 1 session, and the way that Claude sort of operates is that it doesn't really account for a session in the same way that like a web browser does. It really just connects it based upon your authentication. So I don't really expect to see more than 1 total session for each person. But you can see the activity logs for this particular user, which is myself, tool calls, and it shows each tool call that was made. It shows, it'll show the requested data. And this is basically just ran this against the the tool call. And then this was the results that came out. And this is much larger than it needs to, than I can display there, but you can see that it works. It displays the duration in milliseconds, and some metadata. You're authenticated through various sources, and yeah, this is the server. I'm hoping that you folks will take the opportunity to mess with it. Obviously, there's a lot of improvements that can go into this. This is sort of limited in its tooling so far. I had intended to do some latest commodity prices and things of that nature, but I needed to have more historic data from the World of Warcraft API that handles commodities data. So it may not have been very interesting for this particular project, but certainly useful in the long term. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you have an opportunity to use it and connect to it. This will be available for the server, for the MCP first birthday, and it will be hosted until we decide to take it down. So have fun. Happy raiding.